to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence in honor of our veterans, servicemen and women, and those who have given the ultimate sacrifice. Councilor DeMaria.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to have another moment of silence for Tom Quinn, who is the son of former Councilor Ward 4 Ed Quinn, who died a week after his dad. He was 59 years old. He was a state trooper for over 40 years. I personally worked with him at the airport. He started his wonderful career as a cadet in Malden. So if we could have a moment of silence, thank you.
Clerk will call the roll. Oh, you have one more. Sorry. Councilor Spatafora.
No, Councilor Condon has it.
Councilor Condon.
Yes, please sit. Sit.
Uh-oh.
I'd like to, at this time, recognize another passing, Tony Perna, who was a police officer, retired from the city of Malden. Tony was a great police officer. And he also, we went to school together, served, went to Vietnam, U.S. Navy, and he was a great supporter of the Wounded Warriors and the motorcycle ride that they go on. And I just happened to notice that they're having it in the next week or two, I believe, the Wounded Warrior motorcycle ride. So with that, I'd ask for a moment of silence for my dear friend Tony Perna.
The clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Anderson? Here. Councilor Kamel? Here. Councilor Condon?
Here.
Councilor DeMaria? Here. Councilor Matheson? Here. Councilor Murphy? Councilor O'Malley? Councilor Spatafora? Here. Councilor Winslow? Here. President Council Seeker?
Here.
Oh, sorry. Councilor Crowe.
Under the provisions of the open meeting law, for those of you in attendance, please be informed that MATV is recording this evening's meeting, along with one of our Malden residents, John Mayara, will also be recording. So just be aware there will be video and audio recordings of this meeting. First order of business.
Approval of minutes. Minutes of the meeting of March 19th.
Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have guests and citizen achievements and announcements. The Zonta Club of Malden, No More Silence, will appear before the City Council.
Thank you, Councilor Debbie DeMaria, for giving us the opportunity to speak to you and tell you all about our amazing event. The Zonta Club of Malden, in partnership with the High School Z Club, the Mayor's Office, and the Malden Teen Center, hosted a teen domestic violence educational awareness event on Thursday, April 11th at the Malden Senior Center from 5 p.m. to 7:30. The event featured Middlesex District Attorney Marion Ryan, who presented her Healthy Heart Matters program and app, and other local DV resources from All Hands In, Intimate Partner Violence Project, Portal to Hope, and Respond, Inc., participated and shared materials and information. The Silent Witness exhibit was provided through the organization Reach Beyond Domestic Violence. The Silent Witnesses are a traveling display of life-size wooden silhouettes. Each witness represents a woman, child, or man who was murdered in Massachusetts due to acts of intimate partner violence. All witnesses carry the name and the story of each victim on their breast shield. Because these individuals no longer have a voice, the silhouettes are called silent witnesses. Figures are displayed in public venues in an effort to raise awareness about the devastating impact of abuse. Our goal for this event was to begin an important dialogue and to provide awareness and information about teen domestic violence, and that needs to continue. Understanding what teen dating violence is and why it happens and what it means for those involved is an important step in prevention, and we appreciate your support in allowing me to speak to you about this important event. As a teen, these types of conversations are difficult to have with each other, never mind an adult. In closing, I would like to see this event not be the last, to continue on with a citywide initiative that encompasses all 5 middle schools and the high school, a combination of DA Marion Ryan's program and loveisrespect.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor DiMaria.
Oh, don't leave, don't leave. First, could you both state your name and your age?
I'm Caitlin, I'm 17.
I'm Jenna. I am 17.
That's wonderful. And you're Z Girls, part of Zonta Club of Malden. Okay. And we also have in the audience, if you could stand up from Zonta, that would be great, because I know we have Elizabeth Hart and Joanne Popolo and Michelle Luong. So it was a wonderful presentation. Thank you, ladies. Wonderful presentation. You girls did a great job, and it is so important. I'm sure I share that sentiment with all the counselors here. And we appreciate you being here in front of us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Now you can do your minutes.
Next order of business, approval of minutes. Minutes of the meeting of March 19th, minutes of the meeting of April 2nd, and minutes of the meeting of April 9th.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Okay. Councilor DiMaria's motion to approve the minutes, seconded by Councilor Kamel. All those in favor? All those opposed? The minutes are approved. Next order of business.
Hearings, petitions, pool tables, Irish American, 2 tables, second-hand dealer, GameStop, renewal, 44 Broadway, outdoor parking, Spatafora Trust, 35 Canal Street, 10 spaces, pool table, Town Line 10-pin, 665 Broadway, 19 tables, bowling alley, Town Line 10-pin, 665 Broadway, 48 lanes, outdoor parking, Pine Banks Auto, 1100 Main Street, 35 cars, renewal, outdoor parking, Robert McNulty, 28 Cedar Street, Malden, 14 cars, renewal, pool table, ITM Post 1640 Oakland, 1 table, renewal, taxi driver Daniel Knight, renewal, taxi driver Michael Rapaglia, 9 Richardson, Malden, renewal, taxi driver William Cook, Laurel Street, Malden, renewal, taxi driver Leslie Renee, 41 Warren Ave, Malden, renewal, taxi driver Christopher Jackson, 24 Surfside Lynn, renewal, taxi driver John Danka, 36 Highland Court, Malden, renewal, taxi driver Carlos Vargas, 123 West Wyoming Melrose, renewal, taxi driver Kamel Kishart, 36 Road B, Everett, renewal, taxi driver Alan Fisher, 28 Hazelwood Street, Malden, renewal, taxi driver Dennis Sullivan, 500 Revere Beach Boulevard, Revere, renewal, taxi driver William Sweet, 117 Medford Street, Malden, renewal, taxi driver John O'Flaherty, 240 Bellingham Ave, Revere, renewal, taxi driver Valentine Takali, 92 Dever Street, Malden, renewal, taxi driver John Snyder, 503 Columbus Ave, Boston, renewal, taxi driver John Maluski, 28 Hazelwood Street, Malden, renewal, taxi driver Robert Habib, 826 Broadway, Revere, renewal, taxi driver Stephen Grasso, 90 Sylvan Street, Melrose, new, lodging house Cedar House LLC, 116, 118 Cedar Street, Malden, renewal.
Councilor Anderson's motion to refer these petitions to license. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The licenses have been referred. Next order of business.
Motions and orders. Order, be it hereby ordained that Section 11.31 of Chapter 11 of the Revised Ordinances of 1991 be further amended by adding provisions related to fencing under dangerous substances in streets prohibited to include the following language. Every property owner adjoining any public or private street, alley, sidewalk, trail, or other public land shall ensure that fencing on their property remains erect and that any barbed wire remains strung. No property owner or person responsible for fencing shall allow their fence and any barbed wire to encroach on or above any public street, private street, alley, sidewalk, trail, or other public land, or otherwise pose a hazard to members of the public lawfully using such areas.
Councilor Winslow.
Yeah, this is something that I noticed was a deficiency in our ordinances. I was talking to our code enforcement officers about some situations along the bike trail where there's fencing, some of it with barbed wire has been pushed or falling into the trail, and we really don't have an ordinance to deal with this in terms of getting businesses to re-erect their fences and keep them up. So this would just clarify that it would not be permitted. I mean, I think probably it's a trespass or something like this, but this is just clarified in the ordinance. I mean, I think it would still, we still go in the spirit of asking these businesses to erect the fence, but it would just be good to have a clear ordinance that our code enforcement officers could point to when we're talking about this. But there's a stretch behind like La Marca and that stretch over in Ward 1, and then there's a stretch in Ward 5 where there's barbed wire and other things hanging down towards the trail. And I think I just wanted to write something broadly. And this is adding to a part of our ordinances where you can't put hazardous stuff out on the sidewalk that could cause a hazard to people walking by. So this is kind of in that same vein and putting it in that ordinance. So that's just the intent. So I just make a motion to refer to ordinance for further consideration. Thank you.
On Councilor Winslow's motion to refer the matter to Rules and Ordinance, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter has been referred. Next order of business.
Order that the City of Malden Assessor, City Clerk, Controller, Solicitor, and Treasurer, also known as direct reports, offer an update department report to the City Council. This will begin on June 1st, 2019, and continue quarterly with due dates of September 1st, December 1st, and March 1st. Each may identify and choose their personal preference of template for reporting. These reports will include an update of accomplishments and continued work in progress. Also, be it further ordered that annual reports continue to be supplied to the City Council by our direct reports.
Councilor DiMaria for the paper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do have to commend the councilors that seem to have joined on with me. I'm really pleased. I think this is an order that is long overdue. This will promote promote their great work to us. It will open up some sort of transparency between each department. I have checked with Human Resources to make sure that this is, in fact, something we are allowed to do, and they have given it 2 thumbs up. I think it's wonderful that we're not pigeonholing one department over another department that directly report to us, so therefore I've added all of them. As you know, our compliance officers, which are our direct reports, do this on a monthly basis to us, so we know what they do, and I'm sure you're enjoy reading what they do and their hard work. So this would just be in line with that, and it is my hope tonight that we can vote this on the floor and move forward with the June 1st first date. Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor Spatafora.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank the rest of the sponsors, like Council DiMaria said. I think it's important, especially with your financial team, to have updates. I think part of this, which I discussed with Council DiMaria, is every year we get a report from our auditors that tells us where we are, what we've done, and what we can do better. And I think hopefully one of the first or second reports we do get from our financial team, usually we start getting that audit report usually in May or June, and there's always a to-do list at the end of the report. Sometimes, unfortunately, we see the same things that are staying there in a static type of event. And I think by doing this on a more regular basis, we'll have the ability to hopefully correct that, because at that point, we are the direct reports of those individuals, and at that point, I think it's incumbent on us to make sure that we are managing them in the best and most effective way. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Spatafora.
So I make a motion to accept that order. I guess we need a second. Thank you.
On Councilor DiMaria's motion to adopt,
Yes.
seconded by Councilor Anderson. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The order has been adopted. Next order of business.
Thank you.
Be it hereby ordained that Section 3.35 of Chapter 3 of the revised ordinances of 1991 as amended be further amended as follows.
Do you want her to read the whole thing or just the numbers, Councilor Spatafora? Okay. Hold on. Let me
Oh,
put you
sorry.
on. Go ahead.
So there are many updates that are listed in this document, and I don't want to bore the council with all of it. As many are aware that the Sign Ordinance Committee, I think 2 years ago, with the help of several individuals outside of the council, changed our sign ordinance to be more modern and allow us to have larger type of scale, especially for some of the new developments. This list that's before you is essentially, anytime you change any ordinance, there's always things you forget and don't do, or technology changes that allow certain signs to be different. So we've been keeping, I see Debbie Burke here from the MRA. She's been meticulous in keeping notes as we go along through some of these meetings. So these are just some of the suggested changes we want to do to the living document of the Sign Ordinance Committee. All my ask is today is to simply refer to ordinance, and then we will go through these in a more painstaking manner and then report back to the council some of these changes. And some of these changes, to be quite honest with you, we do have a way now to appeal the Sign Ordinance Committee, so they can go to the Board of Appeals. Some of these, because the way the law is written, our hands are tied. We have to send people to the Board of Appeal. They have to pay $350 or a large sum. So we're going to correct some of those, and some of these are just more updates. So this is to help, I think, the sign ordinance get better. But again, I'm just asking to be referred to ordinance, and we'll explain all these as we get closer in committee, and then when I report out, hopefully in a couple weeks favorably. Thank you, Madam President, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. On Councilor Spatafora's motion to refer this to Rules and Ordinance, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter is referred. Next order of business. Councilor Kamel. You would like to suspend
I would
docket
like to,
rules.
sorry, I thought that was later. Okay, I would like to suspend docket rules for the purpose of proposing a resolution in support of the workers at Stop and Shop. And it was previously let fellow councilors Winslow and DiMaria have asked to be added as sponsors to that.
I would like to, too.
As would Councilor Sika and Councilor Spatafora. And so if Councilor Crowe, if it would please the...
I think we all would like to be added to that.
If it would please the council, I would like to read it, the proposed language, and debate. Well, do we have to have the vote on suspending docket rules first?
Yes.
Thank you. Move to suspend docket rules for the purpose of discussing a resolution.
On Councilor Kamel's motion to suspend docket rules, seconded by Councilor Winslow. All those in favor? All those opposed? Suspension of docket rules.
So I would like to move that the council enact a resolution resolved that it is the sense of the City Council that we support the workers of UFCW 1445 in their efforts to secure fair working conditions and benefits for their workers at Stop and Shop. Be it further resolved that we support good wages, health care, and retirement benefits for workers throughout New England. All workers deserve respect and to share in the success of the businesses that they made possible.
Everybody go with that? Okay. Okay. On Counselor Kamel's resolution, seconded by Counselor Di Maria. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. The resolve has been passed. Next order of business. Claims.
Next order of business, claims. Claim Michael LaRusso, 47 Skyline Drive, Malden. Claim Cheryl Paulo, 68 Wesmere Road. Claim Joseph O. Pedisano, 92 Columbia Street, Malden. Claim Sean Moore, 6 Foley Farm Road, Wilmington.
On Counselor Kamel's motion to refer these matters to finance, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matters have been referred. Next order of business.
Committee report for license petitions, 21 various listed below. Class 1, Bay State Ambulance, it's 30 Eastern Ave, that was an error with the address. Malden Middlesex, 129 Charles Street, 15 cars. West End Auto, 373 Summer Street. Loca Enterprises, 7 to 11 Bow Street, 15 cars. Class 3, Malden Middlesex, Malden Middlesex. Then there's Extended Hours, Walgreens, 185 Center Street, 7 days, 24 hours renewal. Fortune Teller, renewal. Angie Marks, 495 Broadway, renewal. Livery renewals, Linda Dellen Icono, 259 Mountain Ave, 1 car. Ideal Park Limo, 61 High Rock Road, 1 car. Sampson Estafeta, 2 cars. 47 Second Street. David Gustav, 230 Bryant Street, Apartment 3, 1 car. Lodging House.
We're holding this one.
Okay. The Robert Laquadera, 155 Clifton Street. Second-hand dealer, 137 AM Design Jewelry Renewal. Outdoor parking, K-Court Realty LLC, 17 Green Street, 25 spaces renewal. 13119 SL Realty Holdings, 11 Charles Street, 15 spaces new. 13219 TJ Automotive, 315 Pleasant Street, 28 cars renewal. Pool rooms, Loyal Order of the Moose, 562 Broadway, 2 tables. 13519 Club 24, 787 Salem Street, 2 tables renewal. Second-hand dealer and pawnbroker, Art Car Jewelers, 13819 56 Pleasant Street renewal. A second-hand dealer, 13919 Golden Diamonds, etc., 25 to 29 Pleasant Street renewal. And taxi cab licenses, 83-19 Malden Transportation, 39 licenses.
A motion to receive the committee report?
On Counselor Anderson's motion to receive the committee reports, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Counselor Anderson for the committee.
Thank you, Madam President. The License Committee has been meeting on over a couple of periods and went over all of these licenses that were listed out, reviewed them, made sure they were all in place and paid the taxes and everything was up to snuff. We've asked that there's just one license, the lodging house license. We just want to hold that. There's been a question about that license at 155 Clifton Street, but I'd move that we grant the licenses, all with the exception of that one.
Thank you. On Counselor Anderson's motion, seconded by Counselor Matheson, to grant these petitions, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The petitions have been granted. Next order of business.
I just move that we take the 155 Clifton Street and just table that. Yes.
Sure. On Counselor Anderson's motion to table paper number 13619, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Petition has been tabled. Next order of business.
Committee report, personnel and appointments, paper 80-19, council reappointment of Catherine Fallon Malden as the city solicitor, term to expire March 1st, 2022.
On Counselor Crow's motion to receive the committee report, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The committee report is received. Counselor Crow for the committee.
Thank you, Madam President. Last week, we met with City Solicitor Fallon, and she gave us really a nice update on all the work that is being produced by the Law Department. And we had quite a nice conversation, and I think that actually prompted the paper that we just voted on about having more regular updates from all our reports, and I think that made it very productive. So the committee voted to approve City Solicitor's reappointment. So, and make a motion to do the same.
On Councilor Crow's motion to confirm this appointment, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The appointment has been confirmed. Next order of business. Oh. Councilor Anderson, sorry.
Yes, thank you. I would have wanted to say this before we voted on it, but I just wanted to say what a great job our city solicitor has been doing over the years. She's been running a great department, representing our city well. Catherine Fallon is a real great asset to the city of Malden, and I'm glad that we've had a chance to reaffirm her appointment this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Next order of business.
Committee Report Finance, Paper 115-19, order that the City of Malden file with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development a consolidated plan including applications for grants under the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended, and the Cranston-Gonzalez Housing Act of 1990 as amended, to be administered by the Malden Redevelopment Authority for the fiscal year 2020, including all understanding and assurances contained therein on or substantially in the form presented to this meeting, and that Gary Christensen, Mayor and Chief Executive Officer of the City of Malden, be and hereby is directed and designated as the authorized representative for and in the name in behalf of the City of Malden to sign and file said plan, to act in connection with said plan, and to provide such additional information as may be required.
On Councilor Kamel's motion, we received the committee report. All those in favor? All those opposed? Committee report is received. Councilor Kamel for the committee.
Thank you. So as everybody's here is familiar with, the CDBG is a federal program that helps us address funding for community needs for low to moderate income families, including programs for homelessness prevention, food assistance, and utility programs. It's a $1.3 million grant, and also combined with $544,000 of prior balances and loan payoffs. The MRA came and presented this to the Finance Committee over the course of 2 meetings, taking some questions from us and doing a good job bringing us back good answers on it. They had the binder of all the applications available for the councils to look at over the last, I believe it's since March 5th. If the representatives, if it pleases the council, have the representatives come up here and give a little bit of background on it as well.
Hold on one second. Councilor Crowe.
This is really a point of information. So what's
Sure.
different from this between the next page with the budget part? The next order, because actually I'd need to request to recuse myself from at least the public services.
Sure,
portion
no,
of
I
the-
should explain that these came, yeah, so these did come down in 2 papers, which is a different issue than the fact that we did in committee. We held 2 votes in order to have discussion separately on a matter that.
Public services and
Public
community
services.
development block grant.
So if it please the council, we would like to possibly do the same thing where.
So my question is, so when,
Go ahead.
when Mr. Pratt sort of presents, is this about the budget or just about the process of community development block grant? Because I would recuse myself from both if that's, the proper thing to do in this, because I know in the budget side,
Right.
not taking part in the debate in the public services, since I am, and will ask to recuse myself, since I am a paid employee from one of the organizations. Although it doesn't pay me, it does pay the organization I'm paid out of.
So essentially what she's asking is, She knows she has to recuse herself from the vote of the.
Sure.
But she doesn't know she has to recuse herself.
From this part
From this
as
particular
well.
part of it, because it's broken into two. I don't know the
It's
answer.
not, this broken in two is not the same broken in two
Right.
as the vote
Exactly,
we
so that's
had
what I mean. So
within-
is this,
I believe you should recuse you.
I should, all right, so
You're gonna take a vote now, then.
make a motion to recuse myself
Second. Thank you, Councilor.
because the reason I just stated.
On Counselor Crow's motion to recuse herself from the vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? You've been recused, Counselor Crow. Good evening, Mr. Pratt.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. My name is Alex Pratt. I'm the new Community Development Director for the Malden Redevelopment Authority. I've worked with each of you so far on different projects, but I wanted to just introduce myself to the community since this is my first time in front of the full council. The budget you have before you is the same budget that was submitted by the mayor on March 15th. That was sent to the council. It reflects the continued needs of the low and moderate income population in the city of Malden. It makes stronger investments, continued strong investments in a number of different programs. I'll just go quickly through the budget, which I believe everyone should have received tonight as well as a couple weeks ago when it was filed with finance from the mayor's office. For housing rehab loans, we have $278,000 budgeted for FY 2020. For public services, that's a pretty straightforward program that we've had for a long time. I'm happy to discuss it, but I think councilors might be familiar with it. Public services, we had a couple changes. The total is $199,000. That is set by the federal cap. 15% of the entitlement amount can be spent on public services, and we meet that cap each year. It is a competitive application process. We do try to say yes to every organization. There were a couple organizations we were not able to say yes to this year based on different technical issues for the most part, and we're hoping that they will apply again next year once those are resolved. Under parks and public facilities, we see an investment of $632,000. That is continuing the work we had last year on the ADA sidewalks, which is, this current fiscal year for the ADA sidewalks, as well as programs for the BB School Tot Lot, the Ferryway Tot Lot, Mount Vernon area safety improvements, and Green Street MacArthur Park, which we had funded last year. It needed more work to get the job done, so we're coming back for the additional funding so that we can complete that project. Under planning, admin, and management services, that's just our admin budget. It's, again, federally limited at 20%, so that's what that number is based on. Under Section 108 loan repayments, you see a $200,000 figure for road improvements. That's on the $2.4 million Section 108 loan from a couple of years ago. That work is underway right now and should be completed by the end of this year. We will then pay that back. That will mature on August 1st, 2038, which you'll see reflected next year, but we just finished the financing after this document was sent out, so that information is not included here. We also have some remaining payments for the Lincoln Commons and the Senior Center rehabilitation. So the total for the Section 108 loan repayments that we make every year is about $495,000. The total allocated is $1.8 million. That's based on the entitlement amount of 1.3, and as Councilor Kamel spoke to earlier, also includes the prior year balance of $544,068. I'm happy to address any questions that any councilors have. We did have a lengthy public process. This process began January 4th with emails to the council with notices in the paper, multiple notices in the paper, multiple public hearings. We're very proud of the engagement that we've had in the community and working with each of you. We enjoyed going through the Finance Committee and answering questions and doing thorough research on questions that councilors had. And I think it's important that the council and the council has engaged deeply in this program and cares about this program, because this is, to Councilor Kamel's point, the primary funding source from the federal government for addressing the needs of people living in poverty. And so it's an important program, and I'm really proud to play a small role in that for the city of Malden. And with that, I'm happy to take your questions.
If I may, for the benefit of the folks watching, I know in the committee we discussed this. Can you just break down a little bit what it's meant by prior project balances and loan payoffs at $544,000, where that comes from, why that's there?
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes, I can. And I believe a memo on this was circulated with the council as well, based on that discussion that we had at finance, and that was placed on file. But essentially, the prior year balance is a combination of projects coming in under budget, projects that were canceled or were not able to take off, and then because we have a loan rehab program, loans that are paid off get allocated to the following year's budget.
And all those funds must come back and serve the same purpose as
Yes, every dollar we use within the CDBG program has to stay within the CDBG program.
I'll yield for other questions.
Thank you. Councilor Matheson.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Mr. Pratt. I want to thank you and Director Burke for answering the questions that I had on the committee level. Councilor Kamel just actually highlighted one of those questions that I had that you came back with an answer to, as well as question regarding the home rehab loans. Can you tell me just a little bit about, I understand how we give the 0% interest to lead line replacements, so folks that live in a low and moderate income track or qualify as a low and moderate income, they can apply for one of these loans to change out their lead pipes. Is that correct?
Yes, I do want to clarify. So the CDBG rehab can be used for other work that's not lead related.
Right.
What we like to do when we are able.
That was my next question.
Yeah, so there are two grants. There's the lead grant, that's a federal grant, and there's the CDBG grant, which is a federal grant. And we can use them in combination in some cases. In some cases we can use one, in some cases we can use the other. The CDBG rehab program is more flexible. It doesn't just need to be lead work. It has to be done for an owner-occupied unit that is lower moderate income, or if it is not owner-occupied, then a majority of the tenants need to be lower moderate income. And we do check, and that is a lengthy process, and that is something that we work with the owners to be able to qualify them for. And then they can do code improvements. They can't do, we don't do, granite countertops or things like that. We just do code improvements and bringing it up to, we do get those types of questions, and we say,
Sure.
Unfortunately, we don't have, we don't have the money to do that. We have it's a program that's been really sought after over the years, and HUD wouldn't let us
It's
do
not
it
meant to
anyway.
provide the creme de la creme. It's here to help people get along in their lives. What is meant by emergency home? I'm actually glad you mentioned that. Emergency home repairs, can you give me an example of what that might be?
Sure. So if someone's water boiler
Yep.
failed or something like that,
Right.
I think we had, so this predates me, I think in the 2015 winter, I know that because we have an aging housing stock, and we have, obviously that winter we had a lot of snow events. There was some discussion of how do we meet these needs for folks who don't have enough money in the bank account for
Right.
if a pipe bursts. They don't have the money to fix it. So that's
So-
something that we're looking into.
So I mentioned this for the edification of the public, because you've helped answer my questions on the committee level, but the public's not privy to that necessarily, and it's important that people know. One thing I mentioned was perhaps we want to get word out in the water bills so people know that there is a 0% interest loan that they can avail themselves of to help them replace their lead pipe, because we know this is a serious issue that people take more seriously these days. I'm happy to see the tot lot at BB School, and you did come back to me to let us know where the ADA improvements were going to be on sidewalks, and again, I appreciate that, so this budget has my support.
Thank you, Counselor. And I wanted to, you brought up the public. So on the 22nd, April 22nd is the beginning of National Community Development Week. That's something that this city has participated in for a number of years, and we're planning on doing so again. And that's just trying to draw attention to these programs. So to your point, whether it's water bills, we just put up ads about the lead line replacement in the garages so people are aware of that program. We're always looking at trying to make it, provide more information to folks. And one thing that I'm trying to look at is how do we make it easier? HUD requires us to have a very extensive application process, but anything we can do to make it easier for folks who do qualify to go through the process of qualifying would really be helpful as well. So that's something that we're trying to look at. Our hands are a little bit tied, but we're doing our best. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Matheson. Councilor Di Maria.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Alex, for coming tonight in front of us for the first time. You and Executive Director Debbie Burke and the whole department does a yeoman's job with this. This grant process is tedious, and it's a wonderful job that you do. One question I have is, how long has the Community Development Block Grant funding been available for Malden? Do you know?
The program itself was created in 1974 and came into effect in 1975, which would make this the 45th year. I am 99% certain that Malden qualified in that first year, but I'd have to go and check. But it's been a lot. I mean, it's been a lot of money. And it's also, the funding has gone down over time at the federal level. So we have, I mean, it's still a sizable budget, but we have really benefited a lot as a community from the CDBG program. And it is something that, again, going back to Councilor Matheson's point, it is something we're trying to emphasize and to share, because I think this program is one of the best kept secrets of how government can do a good job for folks in need. I'd also be remiss not to mention my other colleague, Karen Bushy, who has helped us with our budget so much throughout this process, and especially as the new guy, she's really kept me in mind. So that's been very
Well, thank you for the entire department and all the hard work that you did to be able to share the wealth a little bit across the city of Malden. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor Winslow.
Yeah, Alex, I really want to appreciate the work of MRA and yourself on putting together this budget and answering all our detailed questions at finance. And I do appreciate, I know a couple of items relate to the disabled community in Malden, so I'm very appreciative of the additional work that's going to go into our sidewalks for handicap ramps. Can you give a short list of the streets that will be impacted? Do you have that?
I have that in here somewhere, I'm sure. I can't promise you it's a short list. There are 58 sidewalk ramps throughout the city that will be constructed in the next year, in the next fiscal year, and I saw today a bill for the current year, so that work is underway.
So yeah, I think we don't have to get into detail there, but yeah, I mean, that's really great work that's going to help out our disabled community and our seniors and even our parents that are pushing strollers and that type of thing. It's really important, so it's great to know that we're making that investment. And can you talk a little bit about the Disability Policy Consortium and their work there, so our disabled folks can understand how they can get involved with that? So
absolutely, thanks for that great question. We have plans in place as a city in case there's an emergency. What the Disability Policy Consortium is doing, they're one of our new public services under the CDBG program, and what they're going to be able to do is adapt our emergency responses to help people who have mobility issues, because obviously, or anyone else with a disability, that might hinder their ability to participate or otherwise evacuate in case there's an emergency. So they're going to be developing a new plan, and then they're going to be holding a series of workshops. They're going to be hiring a Malden High School student. They're hoping a student with a disability, to help lead these workshops and train folks with disabilities in the community about the disability emergency plan. All right. So that'll be very good for folks' safety.
Well, I think all these are great services and projects, so I definitely will be supporting the budget. Thank you. Great.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you. Councilor Spatafora.
Thank you, Madam President. To echo my fellow councils, thank you for your team and the finance team for going through this meticulously. I know I attended several of the meetings. I think it was said it was best. A lot of these programs are not only to help with infrastructure and parks, but also the people in need. I look at this list of totaling $199,000. While it might not seem to be a big number in terms of government spending, the reason why I just point this out for the general public, $8,500 to the Malden Neighborhood Basketball League would probably mean, if they didn't receive it, there'd be over 300 kids that wouldn't be able to play basketball. $6,000 for EMOC, again, for disabled people. So this list covers the gamut from elderly to kids. Malden reads, and I think it's important that the public knows that this money, it's not only being spent in the right way from the federal government, but we're giving it to organizations and groups that pound for pound, take that dollar and turn it into many more dollars, better than we probably could as a municipality, to be quite honest with you. So while we talk about the parks and definitely the disabilities and lead paint, very good work. I think it should not go unnoticed that some of these organizations get very small dollars, but they are a lifeline for their organizations to continue providing these services, and I'm very happy to support it again this year.
Absolutely. Thank you, Counselor. And I want to point out that for me, coming to this program and getting to know the public services in Malden, I was just deeply impressed, to your point, not just the range of issues that they're addressing, but how well, for every 50 cents we give Bread of Life, they serve a meal.
Yep.
For every $1,000 we give housing families, they prevent a family from going homeless. That would cost us so much more if that were to happen, to your point, and I'm just blown away by the work that's being done in this community, in government and without, to help these folks.
Happy to support. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Spatafor. Councilor Kamel.
Hi, again, just second time, and hopefully not to sound like a stickler, I just wanted to double check this one point when we were talking about the rehab loans, and I think we may have, it's not necessarily, do they have to be in a low to moderate income tract, or it's just, do they
Thank you. No, so they need to individually qualify.
That's
and
what I
so
okay.
if it's an owner-occupied property, the owner and
Specifically
their household has to
qualifies
qualify.
wherever they are in the city.
Yes. Does not need to be in a tract. It's based on the household tenants.
Anyone else? Thank you, Alex. I'm in full support of this budget as well.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilor Kamel. Did you?
Yes.
Sorry.
So I just do want a clarification, and I want to thank Councilor Matheson for bringing it up. These came down as two separate papers. We have treated them as one process coming through, but would you mind coming back up just to address the fact that they came down as two separate papers? And it's something we didn't take up much time talking about in the committee, but we just want, from a parliamentary point of view, want to make sure that we are executing these properly. So if you don't mind. They came down as 115-19 and 116-19.
Typically, the way that the council has approved the funding has approved the budget, has been through a single vote.
Right.
I'm not aware of any HUD rules that say you couldn't do it otherwise, but I think if, you know.
Now, this is not, now, I'm not talking, again, this is not the decoupling of the, decoupling of the public services programs from the rest. That was done for avoiding having to have somebody recuse himself to discuss it. This is more the fact that they came down to us from the mayor's office as two separate papers. One being phrased just slightly different.
Excuse me, I misunderstood your question. So as part of our process with HUD, we file what's called our annual action plan. Right. The budget is the foundation of that annual action plan. We also put in data about how many people we think we're going to serve through different programs, how many folks we think we're going to serve who have disabilities, who have HIV, who are homeless, that type of information, and we submit that to HUD. So part of this, part of that resolution language, if that's a correct term, helps us submit that on behalf of the city to HUD.
Okay. Yeah, one order, 115, seemed to have the entire amount of detail, and then the second, 116, order that the mayor be authorized to file an application. So, yeah, so essentially, we've had this a sort of unified debate. I believe from a parliamentary standpoint, we just would have to have two procedural votes to make sure both of those are.
I would do it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just two components that have been treated.
Okay. You make a motion?
Thank you very much, Mr. Pratt.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve Order 11519, the City of Malden file with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, a consolidated plan as described.
On Councilor Kamel's motion to adopt the order, seconded by Councilor Di Maria, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Anderson. Yes. Counselor Kamel?
Yes.
Counselor Condon? Yes. Counselor Crowe? Recused. Counselor DiMaria? Yes. Counselor Matheson?
Yes.
Counselor Murphy absent. Counselor O'Malley absent. Counselor Spatafora?
Yes.
Counselor Winslow?
Yes.
President Counsel Seeka?
Yes.
The order is adopted.
The order is adopted. Next order of business.
I make a motion to adopt Order 11619, order that the mayor be authorized to file an application for grants under the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 and the Cranston-Gonzalez Housing Act of 1990.
Councilor Kamel's motion, seconded by Councilor DiMaria, to adopt the order. The clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Anderson? Counselor Kamel?
Yes.
Counselor Condon? Yes. Counselor Crowe recused. Counselor DiMaria? Yes. Counselor Matheson?
Yes.
Counselor Murphy absent. Counselor O'Malley absent. Counselor Spatafora?
Yes.
Counselor Winslow?
Yes.
President Counsel Seeka?
Yes.
The order is adopted.
The order is adopted. Next order of business. Sorry, Councilor Winslow.
I know Councilor O'Malley expressed interest in perhaps voting on this paper, so I wonder if we could take up the next paper first, and then I can see if Councilor O'Malley could come and vote on that one.
Councilor Spatafora, he was only concerned with the number of votes, correct? We have enough.
Okay, all right.
So we're good.
Okay, all right. Well, we can take it up then.
We thought Councilor Anderson was already away.
Yeah. Okay.
So we do have that extra vote with Councilor Anderson.
All right, Councilor, all right.
So, yes, so this one. The rules and ordinance, paper number 5. Yep. Okay, so next order of business.
Okay, committee report, rules and ordinance, paper number 55418. Be it hereby ordained that Chapter 12 of the revised ordinances of 1991 as amended be further amended by adding new sections 800.6.2.24B, 300.3.2.13, 400.1.2.10, 500.1.2.9, and 500.2.23 relative to co-housing.
This is ordinance paper? On Councilor Spatafora's motion to receive the committee report, all those in favor? All those opposed? Committee report is received. Councilor Spatafora for the committee.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be brief. I know a couple of sponsors here would probably like to speak as well. The ordinance committee met several times on this and really did, I think, a tremendous job in terms of reworking it, also with the help of the city planner, Michelle Romero. She was very integral and part of that process, too. She is here as well if there's any questions with the rest of the committee. Basically, this is a new use category. There was many things discussed, from parking to size of it, density, the whole I don't want to say ball of wax, but essentially the entire ordinance was recreated almost twice in its entirety. It was through the help of Councilor DiMaria and Councilor Winslow who put this paper before us. It really is not where we started with. There is always that process. Some things we just take out, some things we just can't figure out, or it's just part of the process of designing an ordinance. But I'm happy to report it did come out of the ordinance committee favorably, unanimously. So I look forward to any discussion, and I would turn it over to Councilor Winslow, who had a large part in creating this. Happy to answer any questions.
Of course.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Spatafora. Councilor Winslow.
Yeah, no, I really want to appreciate the work of Planner Romero and Building Commissioner Nelson Miller, who all chimed in, as well as the Planning Board. We had a very good discussion at the Planning Board meeting and had a lot of feedback. The Planning Board did vote on the overall recommendation as well unanimously. It's something new for the city, but I think what we saw was the opportunity to create a category that will really encourage home ownership and in a new way. We're not building really single-family homes anymore because we just don't have enough land. This will allow more allow another opportunity on how people can create a community within Malden that will help support seniors as they age, opportunities for families with kids to interact with seniors, and all sorts of great benefits. And as shown in a lot of other communities, people who do commit to become involved with co-housing, it's not an easy thing. They end up being long-standing citizens in the community. So I think there's a lot of benefits from that, and that's why I in particular worked hard to see this be an option for the community. So I appreciate the work of the community, and I look forward to moving ahead and seeing this opportunity come to fruition. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor DiMaria.
Thank you, and thank you, Madam President. I do want to give a great thank you to our Ordinance Committee that worked so diligently trying to retool a new use category, something that we looked at several months ago, and everyone's hair stood up and said, what is this? What is this going to be, a commune living or whatever? But our Michelle Romero, our city planner, did a fantastic job trying to identify certain concerns. We worked through it. We rewrote it and rewrote it and rewrote it. And I think this new category is actually reflecting how our community is now thinking in a more, not futuristic, but a progressive way of living. I am very happy to have my name as a co-sponsor on it, although I think Councilor Winslow and Councilor Spatafora and Michelle did most of the work. So I'm most definitely going to support this, and I do encourage the councilors to as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Condon.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Chairman of Ordinance. I had the pleasure of co-sponsoring it too with Councilor Winslow and Councilor DiMaria. I'd like to particularly mention both the councils that did a lot of work on this paper. This is co-housing. The discussion went from dorms to rooming houses, nothing to do with any of that. Basically, it's condos with shared living space in that they would have a room to have their meetings and possibly have their dinners. It's restricted to residential office where they can be built. The people that I've had the pleasure of meeting with that were involved with the project at 368 Pleasant Street, they really wanted to be part of this community. They did a tremendous job working with the neighbors. The neighbors were involved, the neighbors were for it, and hopefully there'll be future developments with co-housing, because I really, along with Councilor DiMaria and Councilor Winslow, bought into the concept of co-housing. I think it'll be positive for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Matheson.
Thank you, Council President, and again, my congratulations to the sponsors, the Ordinance Committee, Ms. Romero, for all the work that went into this. I'll be honest, when this first came to light, I didn't know what to think of it, and I didn't know whether or not I should support it, and it took me some time to learn about it. What I kept thinking about was a rooming house in Ward 3 that was on the docket tonight, actually, was referred to License Committee, the Cedar House. This house is it's an old Philadelphia-style house, and it had 13 rooms. And what they did is they converted it for use with people with intellectual disabilities. And what they do is they support each other. They share a kitchen, they share living space, and they share each other's emotional support and stories of the day, and they help each other live fulfilling lives. Now, these folks aren't intellectually disabled, but I think to have a different style of living that brings people together and sharing resources is good. And I'm taking a look at this ordinance, and I really like the way it's written. It's restricted in height, it's restricted in size. I think that and it's restricted the number of places where it can be rolled out. So I think that this is kind of an exciting new opportunity to see if this is something that'll work in our community. So I'm happy to support it, and again, thank you to everyone who worked on it.
Thank you, Councilor Matheson. No other lights. On Councilor Winslow's motion? To enroll the ordinance as amended, seconded by Councilor Di Maria. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Anderson. Yes. Councilor Kamel. Yes. Councilor Condon. Yes. Councilor Crowe. Yes. Councilor Di Maria. Yes. Councilor Matheson. Yes. Councilor Murphy absent. Councilor O'Malley. Yes. Councilor Spatafora. Yes. Councilor Winslow. Yes. President Council Seeker.
Yes.
The ordinance is enrolled.
Ordinance is enrolled. Next order of business.
Committee report, Rules and Ordinance, paper number 44918. Be it hereby ordained that Chapter 7 of the revised ordinances of 1991 as amended be further amended by adding a new section 7.29 relative to the use of recyclable and reusable bags.
On Councilor Spatafora's motion to receive the committee report, all those in favor? All those opposed? The committee report is received. Councilor Spatafora for the committee.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, similar to the last ordinance, this was actually referred to the ordinance committee at the end of last year. Unfortunately, I apologize. It was taken up a little bit later than scheduled. It got lost in some of the 18 to 19 translation. It was a paper that was sent over, I think, Council Kamel. It was voted out unanimously again from the ordinance committee. It's to eliminate plastic bags in the city of Malden. You know, sometimes being a little bit late to the game is good, because we looked at other communities that acted this, and I think the state is actually has a paper inside the House right now, or the Senate, looking to do the same thing at a state level. But I was happy to have this in ordinance that came out, again, unanimously, looking for the full council support, but I will turn it over to Councilor Kamel.
Councilor Kamel.
Well, Councilor Spatafora, thank you for bringing it the last leg of the journey, but it wasn't all on Councilor Spatafora. What happened is we had asked the citizens engagement, or the Rules and Ordinance Committee last year had asked the Citizens Engagement Committee to hold some public meetings, which happened, to get more input from folks, making sure that it wasn't overly overbearing of a change. But if the council isn't mind, I want to throw a couple of numbers out at you for a second here, if you don't mind, in introduction to this, okay? So we've got a planet, it's probably about 4.5 billion years old. 200,000 years, which is a sliver of that time, humankind has existed. 200 of those years, we've been industrialized. The Industrial Revolution happened 200 years ago. Of that, only 50 years we've been using plastic. Of that, it's only about 35 years that we've been using these single-use, that we've had widespread use of these single-use plastic bags. So right now, we have 100 billion bags used every year in this country that are mostly used one time for 12 minutes, and then subsequently take 500 years to break down. Okay, there was a report, I don't know, a lot of people saw this, a whale was found with 88 pounds of plastic in its stomach. We have floating plastic islands in the ocean. 36,000 feet, that's another number. 36,000 feet, the deepest spot on the planet Earth, at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, a plastic bag was found by researchers who also found 3,600 pieces of microplastic in a single liter of ocean water down at that depth. Closer to home, you only have to look up in a tree. I don't know how many times I've seen these plastic trees wrapped around branches, wrapped around chain link fences. These things get into our sewer system, block up the sewers, and make our, exacerbate flooding issues that we have right here in our neighborhoods. That's if they don't get recycled. They don't get recycled. If they do make it into the trash, I mean, I guess at least we incinerate our trash, which I don't know if that's any better, because that adds to the these come from fossil fuels, so that's more fossil fuel-based material getting incinerated. What else? I think I'm letting you off the hook. Oh, when the microplastic is a very important thing to consider. These end up in fish, in small fish, and they end up in bigger fish, and then they end up in the fish that you eat if you're eating seafood. So I don't know about you. I don't really want to take my groceries home in a plastic bag and then later eat that a year later when it's recycled into a fish. That's not something I want to do. And again, thinking this has only been 35, we're not changing the way people have lived their lives for decades or centuries. This has only been around 35 years, and we're at this level of unsustainable. Well, it's not sustainable, whatever. And so I think, we're just one community, but I think to sit back and not do anything about it, to me, just doesn't feel right. It feels irresponsible. And I've said it before, and I say it again, every single decision I make is guided only by the principle of looking at my kids and thinking, what can I do to make this world okay for them to grow up in? My kids and every other kid for the future. So to me, this was a no-brainer. I can't take credit for writing it. This was put together by a group of citizens who actually had approached the city about this and worked on this legislation. It came to us pretty well put together already. I just sponsored it. The one change we did make, we had 2 windows of rolling this out. In committee, we decided to simplify it and just make this January 1st, 2020 as the date that it becomes effective. And I would implore the City Council to please vote in favor of this. Vote in favor of taking, well, albeit a small step, a step that shows that we care about the future of our city, of our country, and of our planet. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm very proud to support this initiative. I want to thank Councilor Kamel for putting this on the docket and moving this forward. I want to thank Councilor DiMaria for organizing and hosting a community meeting at the Linden School. And as Councilor Kamel said, I think it's really important to know that this initiative, this plastic ban ordinance, came from the community first. It was pushed forward by them. They collected over 200 signatures. I don't know what the exact figure was at the end, but it was probably approaching 250 by the end of it. And I think that it is widely accepted that the elimination of single-use plastic bags, not only in Malden but in the surrounding communities as has been done, is generally the public opinion. So I'm very proud to support this. I think it's not only just an environmental issue, it's a moral issue about how we are treating our community, how we're treating our world, and what does that say about how we treat ourselves. So I'm very happy to support this, and I want to thank my colleagues for their support too. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Winslow.
Yeah, I definitely very supportive of this, having several bags up in my trees. And also, as we do community cleanups, one of the things that's most difficult about these plastic bags is they do blow around. They tend to get caught in thorny bushes, and they're really difficult to get out of our community once they're floating around. So, so I think I really appreciate Councilor Kamel's taking the lead on this. Also, Vanessa Santos from the Mystic Valley Regional Charter School and her parent, Mother Lana, who helped spearhead this. I know the Civics Club at the high school showed up to our civics engagement meetings, and they were just impatient about this. So I think it's great to see that our young people want to get involved, and this was an initiative of our young people that we as a council have the opportunity to embrace. And I think it is, I really appreciate the work of the Citizens Engagement Committee. That was my key suggestion. We reached out to the Chamber of Commerce, our businesses on board. We reached out to our seniors. Our seniors really didn't see this as a barrier, some complication to their lives. And I think as we, I think we're ready as a community to move forward with this. And so let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Di Maria.
Thank you, Madam President, and not to belabor it, I echo every one of my councilors that have spoken. I was very proud to work through the public hearings with our Citizen Engagement Committee, Councilor Anderson, Councilor Crowe. We met with the seniors. We did our due diligence. Some people out there may think, well, why are you wasting your time on plastic bags? Well, I think we did a yeoman's job on this, and I do not believe this is a waste of time. So I do encourage my fellow councilors to move forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Anderson.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to pick up on a couple of things that was said by my colleagues here that I think are worth emphasizing, and that is that while we had a lot of citizen input, and this was really a grassroots grassroots activity coming forward, it was ironic that we had at our first public hearing, we had people that were actually they were mad at us because we weren't working fast enough. It was like, you know this is a good idea, let's just pass it and get it through the process. And we wanted to insist that we needed to involve other people in the discussion. We had all expressed our support for the elimination of these plastic bags, but it made good sense for us to have public hearings throughout the city so that people could buy into the concept, and it wasn't something that the city was just forcing down their throats. And so for those who were disappointed that we weren't moving it faster, I think the process that we went through is a much better process, and it involved a lot more people, and we picked up some ideas and some thoughts on how we can make it better. So clearly, this is something that we're all going to support, and it's worthwhile, and as I heard someone say, let's move this thing ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Condon.
Thank you, Madam President. I will be supporting this initiative on plastic bags. I think sometimes public resists changes like this, but if they took the time to realize where these plastic bags end up and what the harm that they do, that it's worth it to go back to paper with at the shopping centers, and I don't think it's a big reach to do that. So for that reason, I will be supporting this.
Thank you. Councilor Matheson.
Thank you, Chair. So this is a subject that I've actually looked into quite a bit, and the plastic problem is real. Clearly, we need plastics to function as a modern society. Plastics are everywhere. They're in our cars, they're in our homes. We have clothing made out of plastic. Plastic exists not only out of a convenience, but also for a cost. So while the problem is real, I don't know if this offers the solution to the problem. Councilor Kamel is absolutely right. There was a whale with all these plastic bags in his belly, and my heart goes out to the animals that die from this, and the birds eat the microplastic out in the great Pacific island of plastic that's floating around out there. But the issue is caused not by Malden, because like Councilor Kamel said, and like I told him during the committee process, we incinerate our trash. We actually pay more to dispose of trash by incineration, which is not only the most expensive, but the most efficient way to get rid of trash. Most people would prefer a landfill or simply dumping it in the ocean, which is the cheapest way to dispose of trash. When you incinerate it, we actually even recapture the heat that the fire from the trash generates, and we turn that into electricity. So Malden isn't polluting the oceans. 90% of the ocean plastic, 90%, comes from Asia and Africa. Almost the lion's share of that is actually from Asia, and it's a real problem. It's a global problem. I don't know if this is going to accomplish what we're trying to solve. I'll also say that I've heard from constituents, and I don't know if you have, perhaps you have, that say, please don't do this. These aren't single-use bags. I heard it called single-use bag, although it doesn't appear on the docket that way. They say, look, I take these home from the store, and that's what I use to put trash in, or that's what I use when I bring something into the car. I use these bags multiple times. I'm totally in favor of citizen engagement. I'm very, very glad that we did some citizen engagement, and I applaud the councilors for doing that. The shortcoming of that is when you do these forums, you reach about 1/1000th of our population. And, you know, maybe that's representative, but it's likely that it's not. What you'll get is a turnout, a small group of folks that are the most adamant about the issue. And we heard Councilor Rand and some of the other councilors speak about how adamant the group was. Those are the folks that are going to turn out to that forum. I think that the vast majority of folks that work a job and raise a family and go home to their homes and they don't come out to our forums, they might not know we're even passing this. So that's why I would say let's do a little more engagement. And I think this will not pass tonight because there's great support for this. It is a trend. Plastics are a problem, and we have to dispose of them responsibly. But I would say let's put this on this year's municipal ballot. We have an election that's coming in 7 months or so. This is an issue that's very easy for the public to understand, and our functions as councilors isn't to tell people how they should live, but to involve them. I remember when we had the discussion about having 16-year-olds vote or 17-year-olds, as Councilor O'Malley had raised. We wanted to engage people into our government and get them involved in these rules. So I would say let's put this in the ballot. I'm going to make that motion. I'd look for a second, but I don't see one coming, and then I see a vote happening after that. But I would say let's involve the public in this issue because it's going to impact all of our lives. So I'll make a motion that we send this to a ballot question and ask the city solicitor to draft a ballot question for our consideration. Fails for a second.
Fails for a lack of a second. Okay, thank you, Councilor Matheson. And on behalf of the chair, I too fully support this paper. I look forward to the bags coming out of the trees around my neighborhood. I understand that it may not, this may not undo the damage that Asia and the other country you mentioned is doing, but I am in full support of this. I only received one email in opposition of this. The rest were all in support of this. And as far as putting it on the ballot, the state is actually going to be voting on this if we don't vote on it soon. So it's going to end up getting out of our hands anyway, because the state is looking to ban plastic bags in the state of Massachusetts. So I look forward to supporting this and hopefully passing this paper this evening. Councilor Matheson.
Yeah, just one other question I had. When this appeared in the docket, it appears as relative to the use of recyclable and reusable bags. I would suggest to you that the public reading this docket wouldn't even be aware that this is the plastic bags that they take home from Stop and Shop. In fact, we passed, the open speech for residents to come up. I would imagine that some residents, if they're aware of this issue, might want to come speak on it. Is this the language where the paper came down? Language as to the use of recyclable and reusable bags? Is that the original language of the paper? It's a question through the chair to anyone who knows.
Councilor Kamel? Councilor Spatafor?
Again, this was not to pass in the buck. It was referred in the end of 2018. Councilor Kamel sent me the language number because I couldn't find it originally in Granicus. And that's exactly the language that came down, Councilor Matheson. I don't know I don't recall who referred it, to be honest with you. I don't know the original people who referred it to ordinance. I did. Yep, you did. Is that how it was written, Councilor? Okay, that's all. So it hasn't been changed when I took it over from an ordinance, but it started in 18.
Hold on.
So
Councilor Kamel?
it's been on the, do I have the floor?
You do.
Yeah, no, it was a question to see if this was the language. Go ahead.
It's the language. It's been in our hands for 6 months now, and I would like to move the question.
So
the motion, I would like to move that we enroll paper number.
I'm sure we're going to get to a vote very, very soon, but I just want to finish my thoughts because that's our prerogative as councilors. I can see a letter from the mayor of October 23rd, 2018. I'm pleased to see that you're moving forward the potential passage of an ordinance to limit the consumption of single-use plastic bags. So, you know, he clearly supports it, and that's great. The council does as well. But it's referred to as limit the consumption of single-use plastic bags, whereas this docket entry is a new section of our Malden ordinances relative to the use of recyclable and reusable bags. I would only suggest that the public wouldn't be aware that this is the plastic bag that they're bringing home from Stop and Shop, and perhaps it should have been appeared in a more coherent form on the docket. So those are my comments. If there are no other comments, then you can proceed to a vote.
Councilor Winslow.
Yeah, if Councilor Matheson, I do have the paper that was originally presented to the council back in November 27, 2018, if you wanted to read that. I mean, the title is the same, but the paper does specifically talk about one purpose is to promote the use of reusable bags and recyclable bags. It also talks about reducing use of single-use plastic bags. So the paper as presented that has been before the council and has been on our, in the public realm for 6 months does talk about both things, so.
Councilor Winslow, do you know the title of that paper?
I mean, it was.
Can you read the whole paper for us, please?
So the original title is the same as it is now. Order to amend Chapter 7, revised ordinances from 1991 by adding Section 7.29 regarding the use of recyclable and reusable bags. And then the purpose is for the purpose of reducing the use of single-use plastic bags to protect land, marine environment, and waterways, and minimize litter and reduce greenhouse gases. Furthermore, single-use plastic bags create a burden for solid waste collection, recycling facilities, clog storm drains, require the use of millions of barrels of crude oil. And then part 2 of the purpose, for the purpose of reducing the number of single-use bags that are being used, discarded, and or littered, and to promote the use of reusable bags and recyclable paper bags by retail establishments in the city of Malden. So it does actually talk directly about retail establishments and right in the first part of it, so.
Great, thank you. Councilor O'Malley.
I would like to move Councilor Kamel's motion to enroll the ordinance.
On Councilor Kamel's motion to enroll the ordinance as amended, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Anderson? Yes. Councilor Kamel? Yes. Councilor Condon? Yes. Councilor Crowe? Yes. Councilor DiMaria? Yes. Councilor Matheson? No. Councilor Murphy absent. Councilor O'Malley? Yes. Councilor Spatafora? Yes. Councilor Winslow? Yes. President Council Seeker?
Yes. The ordinance is enrolled. Next order of business. The docket is clear. Would anybody like personal privilege? Councilor DiMaria.
Oh, I get to go first. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. So if you could just allow me just a couple of minutes just to speak on a fundraiser that is very dear to me. Sunday, April 28th is our 4th annual Dash for Dave. It is a 3K, 5K walk, which begins at Cambridge Health Alliance on Canal Street in Malden. We start with a Zumba warm-up, and we have a DJ, and we offer all our grants from that foundation, the David A. DiMaria Foundation. The grant recipients come to the event, and it's a wonderful event. So far, this 501c3 nonprofit that I manage has given back to the community over $100,000. I'm very proud of it. I welcome each and every one of you to come. It's a super fun day. Bring your babies and your dogs and your grandmother. It's a wonderful time. Anybody can do a 3K. So again, it's Sunday, April 28th. It's a $25 entry, which can be paid that day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Time is 10 a.m., and we're over about noon. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Spatafora.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to wish everybody a happy Passover, happy Easter. It's a very holy week for several religions, and also thoughts and prayers with the people of Paris Horrible tragedy yesterday that unfolded at the Cathedral of Notre Dame, and anybody who's had the opportunity to see it is breathtaking. Really hits home, and again, it's awful to see that, especially on this week, but I just want to wish everybody a good holiday, and that's it.
Thank you. Councilor Winslow.
Yeah, I too want to wish people a very solemn Easter and Passover celebrations for those who are those follow those religions. I also wanted to say, coming up on April 20th at the community garden, there's a cleanup there for people who are interested, and then on April 27th, we're going to be in Ward 7 doing the cleanup there with Councilor Anderson. So looking forward to working on those couple things coming up. Thank you. Great.
Thank you. Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you, Madam President. Echo Councilor Spatafora's sentiments. I wish everyone a happy Easter, Passover, and we're also going to have Earth Day, as Councilor Winslow kind of alluded to. It's a very busy week. It's a great week, and I wish everyone happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Matheson.
Thank you. Just wanted to wish everyone the best Easter and Passover holidays. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? On behalf of the chair, I'd like to also wish everyone a happy Easter and a happy Passover, and invite anyone who would like to join us for our annual Ward 8 egg hunt this Friday, April 19th at 12 p.m. at Linden Park Hunting Field. The Easter Bunny will make a guest appearance. The kids can hunt for some eggs. It's a great time, usually had by all. And I also want to congratulate, I had the pleasure of going to the police station this morning to witness the swearing in of 4 new officers. One is a native of Brazil and another is a native of Haiti. So that was pretty exciting and interesting. And the 4 new members of the Malden Police are Kyle Shaw, Officer Sandroff Dedil, he's from Haiti, Officer Ciro Georgi, he's from Brazil, and Sean Dillian. So I congratulate them and look forward to seeing them around the community. They were super excited and happy to be getting pinned by their family members today. It was really a nice time. So on behalf of everyone, happy holidays and good night. Motion to adjourn.